Hey everyone, I'm back to the grind. I am in Las Vegas, as you can see clearly from the title. One thing to note, I do apologize for the poker vlog hiatus over the last couple months. I have played a few times, but they were in the evenings at the Post Oak Poker Club in Houston, and every time I tried to go and tried to film, the film didn't come through very well at all. It was a little bit dark. So, but I'm here. I landed in Vegas a few hours ago, maybe 4 hours, I guess about 6 hours ago, and ferried, I think that's the door, hang on. Okay, I'm back. That was the bell desk bringing up my luggage. So anyways, I got here. I played at the Flamingo in the 1-2 game, played for a few hours, and got a few hands all ready to go over. So here we go. Okay, so the first hand I want to go over, I look down in the middle position at Ace Queen of Hearts. I open for $6 and the big blind is the only caller. The flop comes 9, Jack, 8 with 1 heart. The big blind bets $6 and I call. I figured I would probably peel one off here a little bit. Got a backdoor nut flush draw and a gut shot straight draw, so I'm definitely peeling one off here. So he bets 6 and I call. The turn is the 10 of hearts and the big blind bets $6 and I call, and the river is the 10 of hearts. It's a great river. I've got the nut flush. The big blind leads out for $12. I have no choice here but to raise. The question is, how much do I raise here? I definitely am not raising all in. I've got too much behind me and he has me slightly covered. So I raise to $35, a little bit small, a little bit less than 3 times. Good thing is he re-raises me to $80. I have no choice here but to go all in. Gimme, 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 and he calls. So he calls my all in, I flop over the nut flush, and he was like, oh man, I didn't even see the flush on the board. I was like, what? So he turns over Queen Jack. So, hey, I'll take it. So I've got it. It was a good, nice sized pot. I had that probably within the first 30 minutes of me sitting down at the table. Okay, so this next hand I want to go over, I'm in the cutoff, and I look down at Ace King. The under the gun limps, I raise to $12 and the under the gun calls. The flop is 10, 10, 9. I c-bet for $15 and he calls. The turn is a king, so I've got top. I bet $21, which puts him all in. That's all he had left, and he calls. I turn over my ace king. The river is a blank and my ace king's good. Okay, so on this last hand I want to go over at the Flamingo, I am on the button with pocket 10s. The under the gun limps, the middle position player raises to $10. I call the $10, the small and big blind fold, and the under the gun calls. So there are 3 ways to a flop. which comes 3, 10, king, rainbow. So I've got middle set here, I'm looking pretty good. The under the gun checks and the middle position player bets 15. So here, I'm kind of a little bit worried that somebody's gonna be on a straight draw. I decide, instead of to call, I decide to raise to $45. I wanted to single out that initial middle position player. The under the gun folds, and the middle position player ends up folding in the long run. He thought about it for about, I don't know, a couple minutes, and it kind of makes me wonder, should I have just called there? Should I have raised? I probably should have called, but I guess I probably lost some equity there, but I played it how I played it, and I ended up taking it down. Regardless, it was a very decent session. I ended up winning, I think, $282 on the session. So it was a good one, and shout out to Pokerkraut. Thanks for the person sitting on my left who subscribed as well. I didn't catch your name. So anyways, tonight I'm gonna grab some dinner, and I think I'm gonna play some 1-3 Hold'em over at the Wynn, probably catch an Uber over there. So I will catch you later. Hey everyone, so it's the next morning, as you could probably tell. Last night I played at the Wynn, a very nice poker room, one of my favorites. I ended up bringing 400 to the table, 1-3 Hold'em game, and got a few hands I want to go over. So the first hand is, I look down, I'm in the middle position, and I look down at Queen Jack of Diamonds. There is one limper, and I actually put in $15, but I announced 12 because I didn't have any singles on me. So I announced 12 even though I put in $15, but I don't think anybody heard because I had 4 callers, and everyone called 15. And it was a really talkative table, which is a good thing. It was a really, really nice table. And so, but everyone called the 15, and I ended up letting it slide. The dealer didn't hear either, I guess, but that's okay. So the flop comes Queen 6 10, and I went ahead and put out a C-bet of $30. And to that many people, it's pretty much telling them that I've got something. But you've got to worry about some of the straight draws that are out there if you've got that many people that are calling a $15 bet. So in any case, I get 2 callers, and it's a little bit worrisome, but the turn is a 6, so it pairs the board. And this time I size up my bet a little bit. I didn't want anyone to get there to draw again on the river, so I bet $100, and everyone else folds, and I take down the pot. Okay, so this next hand was probably my biggest mistake of the day yesterday. I'm on the button, and I look down at Ace King, so it's a pretty strong hand. There's one limper, and the cutoff raises to $20. I wanted to isolate him. He was a pretty loose player. I ended up 3-betting to $60, and the big blind calls the $60. The limper folds, and the cutoff calls the $60. So I'm just like, uh-oh, what am I up against? Somebody's got kings or aces or ace king or maybe queens. So the flop is as wet as it gets. The flop is king, queen, jack with 2 hearts. The cutoff checks, and I probably should have checked here. With the pot was big enough as it is. Probably should have checked for pot control. I end up betting $100, and I had top, and the big blind ends up going all in for an additional $142 for me. The cutoff thinks about it for a while, and he folds. I think about it for a while, and I'm thinking, okay, what does he have? Does he have a set of kings? Does he have a set of queens? I doubt that he has ace-10, that he'd call a $60 3-bet pre-flop with ace-10, unless maybe it was suited. You know, he could have had aces. But my thinking was he probably has 2-pair here, and I actually forgot my thinking. So I ended up, I don't know why I forgot it. I was just caught up in the moment. I guess caught up in the table. I ended up calling, which was a bad call on my part because he does turn over 2-pair. He turns over king, queen. And the turn and the river were blanks, and I lose that pot. And that was a big one to lose. It was a very, very swingy night, I can tell you that. It was very up and down. But the third hand I want to go over worked out a little bit better. So let's get right into it. So on this third hand, I am in the cutoff position, and I look down at ace queen of clubs. There's one limper, and the middle position raises to $15. I call the $15, and 3 other people call the $15. This is how, you know, 1-3 tables are. A lot of people are in all the time. 3 betting, a lot of people are in all the time. That's just how this goes. So there are 5 players to see a flop. And the flop is 10, queen, 9 with 2 clubs. So I've got top, and I've got a possible flush draw, nut flush draw that I'm working on here. It checks to me. I bet $35 and get 2 callers. So that's good to hear. My hand's looking pretty strong. And the turn is the 7 of hearts. So I'm not going anywhere. It checks to me, and I bet $55. And the middle position player is the only one that calls. So I'm kind of thinking, what does he have here? Is he on a straight draw? Does he already have the straight? Is he on a flush draw? Maybe does he have a set of kings, or does he have a pair of kings, pocket kings? A little bit worried here. The river comes the 2 of clubs. So I've got the nuts, and it checks to me, the middle position player checks to me, and I bet $75. I wanted to keep it small. I kind of wanted to lure him in a little bit, get the most equity out of it that I could. And he goes in the tank for a while, which is, you know, it's okay. I was hoping that he'd call, but he ended up folding. He ended up later telling me that he had ace king, and he thought I was bluffing. So I guess I played the hand as good as I could. So I'm surprised that he kept peeling off with ace king, but I think this person tended to do that quite a bit. He tended to peel quite a bit. But he was a good player. He was a regular at the Wynn there. After talking to him for a while, he had mentioned that. He was a nice guy. So in any case, it was a decent night. I ended up buying in, reloading for an additional 200. So I started with 400, lost, you know, a few $100s, $250, $300, whatever it was during that second hand I reviewed. Bought in for an additional 200. And then for the night at the Wynn, ended up cashing out for $763 for a profit of $163. So it ended up working out well in the long run. Looking forward to going back to the Wynn. It's probably not going to be on this trip. I think right now I'm going to head to the MGM, maybe take the monorail over to there, and then work my way back up to Aria, I think. And then I think I want to play in the Bellagio 2-5 game again this evening. So I'm going to do that. It's time for the grind. Long day of poker ahead. Looking forward to it. Let's go do it. Just had a really rough session at the Aria. The only good cards I'd get either an under the gun, small blind, or the big blind out of position. I'd be leading all the way through to the river, and then got rivered multiple times. So I'm on my way to Bellagio right now to play some 2-5, getting some dinner first, and I'll go over some hands in detail a little bit later. Hey guys, I'm back. It's the next morning. It's Sunday morning. Today is the day I go back to Houston, and I want to talk a little bit about how I did yesterday and what I did. Yesterday I played in 3 different casinos. I played at the MGM in the morning, and then I played at the Aria in the afternoon. The MGM was a 1-2, Aria was the 1-3, and then Saturday night, last night, I played in the 2-5 game at Bellagio. So the MGM was an okay session. I sat there for a few hours, ended up winning about $150. Then went, had lunch, and went and played at the Aria. And that was a tough game. That one was a really rough session, as you saw earlier. Nothing could go right there, but you know, hey, it happens. It happens. Nothing I could do about it. And then the 2-5 game at Bellagio last night went very, very well. I sat there for a few hours at the 2-5 game and ended up winning all that I lost at the Aria and then some. So I want to go over a few hands. I'll go over one hand at each casino just for the interest of time. So we'll get right into it. Okay, so at the MGM, the first interesting hand to note is that I'm in the middle position and I look down at Ace King. So I open for $7. There are 2 callers and the big blind raises to $27. I call and the other 2 callers fold. So we're heads up to a flop, which comes 10, 9, 5 with 2 clubs. So, you know, it's looking okay at this point. The big blind ends up c-betting for $40. I decided to peel one off here, just in case if a king or an ace comes on the board. And lo and behold, on the turn, an ace hits. So I'm pretty ecstatic here. I've got top. The big blind bets $50. I see no other choice. I don't want any straight draws or flush draws to get there. So I raise all in for $198. He thinks for a while, goes in the tank, and he folds. So this is a nice sizable pot I pick up, and it's on to the next hand. Okay, so on this next hand, I'm at the Aria, and not all hands were bad, but I'll go over one of the hands that was actually a good hand. So I'm in the big blind, and I look down at Ace 3. The under the gun raises, opens for $7. There's one other caller in the middle position, and I call as well. The flop is Ace Jack 5 Rainbow. The under the gun player bets $15. The middle position player folds, and I call. I'm not going to go anywhere. I've got top pair here, so I'm going to peel one off. If he has an ace with a higher kicker, that's one of the things I'm kind of worried about. But I decide to continue on with the hand. Now the turn is another ace. So given that I've got an ace blocker, it's very unlikely that he's got another ace. So I'm sitting pretty good here, feeling a lot more confident. The under the gun player goes all in for his remaining $65, and I call. The river is another jack. I show my ace-3 for the aces over jacks boat, and he mucks, so my hand was good. Okay, so now on to one of the good hands at the Bellagio last night at the 2-5 game. I'm on the button and I look down at pocket queens. There's one limper. I raise to $20 and the big blind re-raises to $60, and the limper folds and I make the call. So our heads up to a flop, which comes 9 queen 3. So I got top set here, and it is a rainbow flop. So I'm looking about as good as it gets. The big blind bets $80. I go ahead and call. I don't see any need to raise and throw off any alarm bells at this point. It's possible he's got, you know, maybe ace king, or he could have aces, or he could have kings, or yeah, maybe, I doubt, maybe he has jacks. So the $80 could have been just a normal C bet as well. So I make the call, don't want to throw off any alarm bells. The turn is a jack. The big blind checks. And at this point, I put in a bet of $200, which I think was a little too much. I think more on along the lines of about $100 would have worked out better. But, you know, hey, that's okay. I probably scared him out of the pot because he folded, but he did think about it for a while. So, which means he probably did have, you know, aces or kings. But in any case, I win the pot and take it down. Okay, so the plan for today is I'm heading back to Houston. I'm probably going to check out of the hotel in a little bit, probably in an hour, and then I'm going to play in some I'm going to play in the 1-2 game at the Flamingo. Probably watch some playoff football, and then fly back to Houston tonight. So overall, it's been a really good trip. So it was a very profitable trip, and stay tuned for some more action. Alright, so I just finished playing at the Flamingo, played for about 5 or 6 hours. Another rough session. So first hand of the day I had ace king of diamonds, and guy bet $11 under the gun. I was in middle position and I 3-bet to $34, and he went all in for an additional like $75, so it was a total of about $100 on my end. I made the call. He shows pocket queens, and I don't improve. I lose 100 bucks right off the bat. I never got aces this trip, never got kings this trip. I played for a combined about 25 hours, but I'm glad I came, learned a lot. Got tilted quite a bit yesterday at the Aria, and today a little bit at the Flamingo. There's one guy who was a basket case. He was absolutely crazy. I had queen jack, he was sitting to my right, and flop came like queen 10-2. One guy went all in from early position, got to my right, went all in again, so it would have been about $180 for me to call. I had top pair, okay kicker. I ended up folding. The guy to my right ends up showing queen 5, and he takes down the pot with just a pair of queens. That was a rough one. I could have won a big one there, so that got me tilted a little bit. Started playing a little bit more hands than I shouldn't have. But overall, like I said, this is a good trip. It's going to be a while before I come back to Vegas. I have already booked my flight and hotel for the summer in June. I plan on playing in the World Series of Poker this June. But I am going under surgery this coming week. Probably by the time this video is posted, a couple days after this video is posted to YouTube, I'll be in surgery. So it might be a couple months before I hit the felt again. But please Hit the thumbs up if you like it. Please subscribe for access to more videos. And thanks for watching.